dedicated to protecting the Wabash River and the aquifers that are near it. We are also focused on increasing civic engagement. I'm David Sanders, founder and chair of Stop the Water Steal. Consistent with the nonpartisan nature of our organization, all 5 candidates in the primary election from either political party were invited to participate. Charles Bookwalter, a Republican, and Rimpey Gurn and Derek Holder, Democrats, responded. And 2 of them are here tonight. The 3rd one should be walking in any moment now. The candidates will each be given 2 minutes for opening remarks. This segment will be followed by questions for which the candidates will be given 90 seconds to respond. The questions will be divided among those related to water issues, those related to the environment, and those concerning other national or international matters consistent with our mission to promote civic engagement. There will be a warning given with 20 seconds remaining, and time limits will be strictly enforced. For fairness, please do not speak out or applaud until the end of the debate. Nomi Ibarra, the Secretary of Stop the Water Steal, will be joining me in asking the questions. And so we're going to start with Ms. Gurn.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Rimpey Gurn. I immigrated into this country back in '99. I have 3 children, and I'm a pop mom. My oldest kid, 2 oldest kids are there in college. Youngest one is 11-year-old. The reason why I am in this race today, because our healthcare system, our education system, a woman's rights to make a choice, women's rights are weaponizing today. I think we have given so much chances to all these legislators. It's time for a mother, a person who knows how hard it is to put the food on the table every day, to get into this race. And also, I don't think we have to choose between to put a food on a table and getting affordable health care. It is so hard these days to having affordable health care. I'm a healthcare provider. I have an insurance business, and I know day to day how hard it is for my consumer. It's not affordable anymore. A normal household in Indiana makes about $55,000 yearly. In order to get insurance for the family of 4, it's about $1,399 a month. I don't think we can all afford that. So this is why I'm in race. Our healthcare, again, our education, our environment, it's at risk. Thank you.
Mr. Bookwalter, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. My name is Charles Bookwalter. I'm a lifelong Hoosier, a father of 3 girls, a husband of 17 years, an entrepreneur, businessman, a homesteader, a homeschooler, a former Green Beret, and a follower of Christ. I'm here tonight because the Republican primary in the 4th Congressional District is the election. The primary is the people's choice, and I will try to demonstrate tonight to everyone here why voting in the primary for me, whether you're a conservative or not, is a vote to protect your God-given rights to life, liberty, and property. Jim Baird, our representative, has a record in both the Indiana General Assembly and Congress as a big spender, an establishment insider, and has voted to raise taxes his entire career. He claims he's a conservative, but just 2 weeks ago, he voted in support of Joe Biden's $1.2 trillion spending bill that is full of pork and includes additional spending in the green energy policies that are dividing us and destroying Indiana farmland. Jim Baird is silent on solar and wind fields despite constituents contacting his office, pleading for him to get involved. But worse is that Baird is the primary sponsor of the Carbon Sequestration Collaboration Act that gives more money and more authority to these policies that we are working hard to keep out of our communities. Jim Baird voted for the CHIPS Act that made the entire LEAP project possible. And what Heritage Action said will make America less competitive in the chip manufacturing market. And in 2021, Baird co-sponsored the Democrat bill, the Vaccine Registration Act. And until he had a serious primary challenger, he voted for every Ukraine spending package and has a record of supporting war and war spending overseas without securing our border.
Time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Holder, you have 2 minutes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Hoosiers, my name is Derek Holder, and I stand sit here before you today, not just as a candidate for Congress, but as a Marine Corps veteran, father and proud son of Indiana. Like many of you, I'm a typical citizen who knows the weight of waiting for the next paycheck, who juggles bills, and who strives each day to provide for my family, in an economy that often asks too much and gives too little. Indiana is our home, a state built on the strength of its farmers and the resilience of its people. I believe in my heart that our farmers are not just the backbone of Indiana, but they're the very lifeblood that sustains us. They deserve a representative who knows their struggle. I will fight for their prosperity and who will oppose policies and threaten their way of life. That's why I stand firmly against the LEAP pipeline, a project that risks the health of our land and the welfare of our communities. As a Marine, I was taught to fight for the safety and well-being of all Americans. Now I'm ready to bring that same commitment to fight for you in Congress, to ensure every Hoosier has the opportunity to thrive, to live without fear of the next bill or the next unexpected hardship. Together we could build a future worthy of the sacrifices who come before us, a future where liberty and prosperity are in reach of all. Join me and let's stand united for Indiana.
Thank you.
Just getting my timer ready. Okay, question number 1. Do you support the plan to divert tens of millions of gallons a day of water from the Wabash River proximal aquifers through a pipeline to support industrial development in Boone County? Is there action that the federal government can take to prevent that pipeline or others designed to facilitate carbon sequestration? Mr. Bookwalter first.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we found out about this in Boone County long before anyone found out about it in Tippecanoe County, and me and many of us in Boone County were against this forthwith. This is an age-old debate, people, about free markets and socialism. And what we have right now is a third-rail system that Indiana politicians and big government Republicans in the federal government use. It's called interventionism. And they think that it's taking the best of a little bit of capitalism and a little bit of socialism, and they get the best of both worlds. But they don't. They actually get the worst of both worlds. And so what this is central planning at its worst. And this is an example. What does it look like when we let them socially or centrally plan these? It looks like putting an elite project, buying 11,000 acres of prime agricultural land and putting a chip manufacturing company right in the middle of it, 53 miles from a water source that needs 100 million gallons a day. And Jim Baird voted for the CHIPS Act knowing that it was going there. They set this entire infrastructure up in Boone County to accommodate this chip manufacturing act. And no one is asking the question as to why did we lose chip manufacturing in the 90s anyway? It was done because of government regulation.
Ms. Gurr?
Thank you. No, I don't support the LEAP project. The reason is, first of all, there is a lot of transparency in a policy in our infrastructure. Let's talk about why they are taking a water when they know that, why they're putting a lead project in a Lebanon in the first, when they know that that area cannot support a water resources. That's number one. Number two, why all the policies and all the infrastructures, all the debate and everything happened about this lead project, it was behind doors. Why a normal person who is getting affected by this lead project here in Tippecanoe County was not involved before they put the project up, before they came up with this project. As far as federal government can be involved, but they said there's a navigable water. Navigable water is that if there's a current water is flowing, it falls under the U.S. federal waters.
20 seconds.
If I get elected, yes, I can try to propose that policy in there, but first, you guys need to elect me. I am totally opposed against LEAP project, and thank you.
Mr. Holden.
First of all, I am strongly opposed to the LEAP project. Like they both said, it was behind closed doors. The farmers of Tippecanoe County did not get a say in this. And it is horrible for the farmers because the farmland around here is sandy. They need more water. It's also taking away from those who are in the city. The Taze Aquifer is going to be depleted within 10 years because of this. Also Indianapolis, it's being pumped up from Indianapolis. They're already running super short of water as it is, and it's gonna drain the 4 huge reservoirs that supply the city of Indianapolis. We do need chip manufacturing in the US because it was lost to Taiwan and China, but we must do it smarter. We must include everybody within the community to discuss these plans. We cannot hide it and let a program that is in Indiana right now that only answers to the governor. Federal government can be involved, but because of the EPA. They can set standards stating that it's an environmental issue.
Thank you. Question number 2, economic incentives such as tax abatements pit state against state, and even, as we have seen, communities within a state against one another. What can be done at the national level to oppose such corporate welfare? Mr. Holder.
Can I have that question, please?
Economic incentives such as tax abatements pit state against state, and even, as we have seen, communities within a state against one another. What can be done at the national level to oppose such corporate welfare?
That's tough. I believe that, we have to have competition between states to bring companies into each state, but it can't be as cutthroat as it is, because right now it is harming those of us who actually live in the state. It is hurting the environment. Look at what's happening with the wetlands here in Indiana, the leak pipeline. It is really strangling those who actually live within the states. We need to make it so we have to make it where it's open to the states that really, really need it. And where there's land for it to be used. That is not under government control, that
20
is
seconds.
not under,
All right, folks, you just heard what they said. They both just said in their last response that the federal government should be involved in this. And they agree with Jim Baird, because Republicans and Democrats, where they switch back and forth, they want to use the government. It's just for their pet projects. So what can we do? What can we do, folks? You can elect in the primary someone like me that has been speaking out against this from the very beginning. We have to and we can develop our communities through entrepreneurship, rivalry, and we can develop them on our own if we had our money back. They are taking our money, they are giving it to a select few of people, and they're allowing them to choose winners and losers based on the contracts that they get and whatnot. But they agree, and so does Jim Baird. They just want it for their own contracts. And what this results in is a ratcheting effect. And so when Democrats are in charge, they get to choose their pet projects and give Republicans a little bit. And when big government Republicans are in charge, they get to choose their pet projects like big war and give Democrats a little bit of their taste of it too. I'm suggesting that you elect someone like me that is coming out at the very beginning saying that this cannot stand anymore. We should not be incentivizing people to centrally plan our local communities.
Ms. Gurn.
Thank you, sir. Like Ms. Derek Holder, yes, I am not that prepared to answer that question, but I wanna answer back to Mr. Walter. He's telling us that we are agree with the federal government. Yes, we are agree with the federal government because what have you guys done here in the state of Indiana? You guys are majority here, we're Democrat, we are minority here. What have you guys done about the LEAP project? Why the LEAP project is here in the first place when you guys are the majority in here in state of Indiana? Why every time there's something is going around, it's always Democrats' fault? Why we're not thinking about our environment? Why not? Why we're so worried about our waters today? Look how many water companies are around here. We're so afraid drinking our tap water because it is so harmful to our bodies these days. We're buying the bottled waters, that's also harming our environment. So why haven't you guys done anything until now instead of Indiana? Why? Why they're always blaming the other parties? Why we can't be a bipartisan? Why can't we come to an agreement for our people who are electing us to go serve them? Why we cannot do that? Thank you.
I was asked a question.
No.
Number 3.
I've got an answer.
Wetland protections have recently been reduced by the Indiana General Assembly. At the same time, water shortages are predicted for various areas of Indiana and are an ongoing urgent problem in other areas of the country. What national legislation, if any, protecting wetlands and reducing the water shortages? What things do you support? We'll start with Ms. Byrne, please.
Thank you. Again, these questions are all new to me, but again, let's talk about environment again. It's all based on our environment, global warming. There's a scientific research. There's global warming is real. And it's all affecting us. It's affecting our water, it's affecting our land, it's affecting our health. Why we cannot come up with policies where we can protect our environment so we don't have to worry about that what's going on in our state of Indiana tomorrow? Why we cannot come up with a really nice policy in place where when there's let's talk about this. Global warming, we know it's real. We need to educate ourselves on that. So as far as we know how serious this issue is, we can all come up with a solution. As a national, again, right now I'm focusing on my campaign, but once I elected, I would love to do something for my state of Indiana and for my district. 4th Congressional District, the environment will be healthy and sustainable. Thank you.
Mr. Holder?
I believe through the federal government, the EPA can be used to introduce protections that saves our wetlands. Currently, Indiana's not the only state that's going through this issue. Tennessee, Georgia are fighting over wetlands to get a land to more water. The West is fighting over the Colorado River. Colorado River is being sucked up by California. Vegas is doing better with going green. And also the Saudis and Chinese are buying up land out there and using a water-intensive farming practices for alfalfa. That is eating up a good portion of the Colorado River as well. If we don't protect our wetlands, our children are gonna suffer
20
from it.
seconds.
Our grandchildren are gonna suffer because of it. It's not us that's gonna have the problem. It's our future generations. We're passing the buck to them, just like we always do, and that's got to end.
Mr. Buckwalter?
Folks, I live on a 30-acre homestead with a creek, some tillable land. We have 18 acres that are in the wildlife preservation thing that the state offers. We live there for a reason. We have a creek run, it's beautiful. We love it. We take care of that. So why, they ask, why? Because we aren't in charge. And if we had more of our private property in the hands of individual responsible owners and farmers, then our land would be better cared for. There's a fallacy that we think the government cares about our land. They don't. And when you have a piece of public property that anyone can access, then people abuse it and they don't take care of it. And when the federal government determines that they want an 11,000 acre LEAP project in our beautiful agricultural land, they will switch just like that, and they will fill in wetlands and they'll do whatever it takes that their big lobbyists that support them say is okay. Big ag, big sugar, and all those people support Jim Baird. Jim Baird is sponsored by these companies that will readily take our property and turn it into transform wetlands into dry land because it's not their property. And we care about it. So we need to have more land in the hands of private people that actually care about it. I am an example of that. And I'm a nasty Republican.
Protections of wildlife under the Endangered Species Act have recently been strengthened. What is your opinion about the act and the recent restoration of protective regulations? Mr. Bookwalter.
Again, I'm just going to stick with that theme. It's the same theme, everyone, that just like Jim Baird, Democrats will say the same thing. These problems that we have are because of big government. The response is not to beg for the big government to do what they said they were going to already do. That's not the correct response. We have to remove them from these. They're the ones that are responsible for this. We already have these acts in place. We should be enforcing these acts at a minimum and then getting some of this property out of the hands of government and getting them off of our own property. The people who in here wants to have fresh, clean water? Come on, raise your hands if you want fresh, clean water. Who in here wants a beautiful area to live in, and agriculture, and parks, and woods? We all do. They're trying to scare us. It's not true. This is only made possible through the government that has the authority and the force to take our property and give it to other people and let them turn it into whatever development they want to turn it into. It's up to us to take it. No one wants that. The only way they pollute and kill animals is if the government lets them do it. That's how they get away with it. And we know that.
Ms. Gurdon.
you. Well, I understand the government is doing this, but which government is right now here in state of Indiana? All I wanna say, it's each of all of us, every single person's responsibility. We need to preserve our natural habitat. That's all. Big corporations, their greed, they're coming, they're building more houses, more people are moving here, there's more houses and they're cutting down our forests, but we need to put a stop somewhere. Who's gonna do it? Local government, state level? And who's in the state house today? Majority are Republicans. So here, I can be a bad Democrat or nasty Democrat candidate today, but I am sorry. Who's in the state house today? Tell me if you can answer me. So please, everyone, we all have to play our part. We need to just make sure taking care of natural habitat, and that's it. We need to take a step. If someone is coming and telling us that we want to buy this piece of land to, build a house, we should have honesty to say no to that, no matter how much money they're offering us. It's not about the money at the end of the day. It's about our health, our environment, our green energy, our sustainability. Thank you.
Mr. Holder.
I say good. We need more protections for endangered species. I too live on 10 acres of beautiful land. I have woods, I have a creek. Federal government's not trying to take any of that away from me. They never have. They're not even telling me how to use my land. I mean, I don't know where that's coming from, but I mean, it just sounds like we're hearing an episode of Fox News right now. And I'm sick and tired of that rhetoric. Every day, that's dividing this nation. We need to come together. We're not that far apart. Maybe on a couple issues, but not as far as Fox News or even MSNBC say we are. We have it from both sides. We need to bring this nation back to the middle where everybody has a hand in it. That way the far left and the far right aren't controlling this nation anymore. And the 90% that is America can agree with the stuff. We need to stop the infighting. That is it.
Question number 5. Do you favor national regulations that protect our water from per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS, and that reduce their use in industrial applications? Mr. Holder.
Short answer, yes. If you care about our children, you will say yes. If you care about your pocketbook, you're gonna say no. We need to keep PFAS out of the water system. Down in Martinsville, it has been found that within a 10 city block area, you cannot drink the water because it's infested with the stuff. And that has to end. It's hurting our children more than anything else. It is causing cancer. Franklin, Indiana has been known as the Flint of Indiana. It's got to end. Corporate greed is what's driving it. And I don't want to go mean here, but who drives corporate greed but the Republicans?
Boo! Uncalled for.
Mr. Bookwalter.
No Indiana Republican talks like me. Fox News doesn't sound like this, and we all know that. And you're right, they aren't far apart from other Republicans. Weak Republicans are very close to Democrats. That's true. And I don't want contaminated water. We've already talked about this. I'm on well water. It's insane to think that I want to increase my pocketbook and kill people. That's ridiculous. But here's the suggestion out of Republicans and Democrats right now who are very close. How many regulations do we have governing water, banking, the environment, you name it? Thousands, tens of thousands. And what they're suggesting is just one more. Just one more. We need just one more regulation, and then everything's going to be good. The fact is that the government's in control of your water right now, and Flint is a perfect example of that. I'm glad they brought it up. You know, I would suggest, because it's like the forest analogy. If a private owner owns a forest and they're selling their wood, they're not going to cut the whole thing down. They cut a few down and they let them grow. So they constantly have a forest that they can produce and they can hand off to their children. The same goes for our water. The same goes for all of our natural resources. And whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you know what I'm saying is true right now.
May I remind you that the rules are do not speak out or applaud until the end of the debate.
I thought it said unless it was a really good response. Like that. No,
You thought.
I thought.
Ms. Gurr, please answer that question.
Like my fellow Mr. Holder here, yes, I am agreeing with him. I totally oppose FISA, okay? What I feel like Indiana needs to adopt integrated water resources management policies. We need to get our water cleaned tested more oftenly. Cancer is everywhere, like you said. We're losing lives right and left. And it is so sad. Our water is not safe for us. This is the United States of America, and our water is not safe for us to drink from a tap.
It's not true.
Well, it is true. So, again, yes, I totally oppose this, and I'm totally right. Let's come to agreement all together. These are the essential things we need in our life: our water, our fresh, clean water, fresh air, clean air. This is all, at the end, it comes to our healthy lifestyle. Why we can't have that? Why we both, either Republican or Democrat, why we can't come to agreement about just these normal, essential items we need in our life every day? And this is not just for today. This is for our generations to come. Why we need to look for another planet why we can't clean this planet? Keep it clean. Thank you.
And if everyone would remain seated, I think that would be the fairest way to proceed. There is substantial scientific evidence that the Earth is experiencing global warming and that greenhouse gases generated by human-promoted activities are the major contributors to that outcome. Do you agree with that assessment? And what are the consequences for public policy if your opinion is correct? Ms. Gerns first.
Yes, I totally agree with you. There is a scientific research about global warming, and then what we need a clean energy. We need a green energy. We need to make sure that we should have a renewable energy. We need to propose a more green tech policies. That's all from me. We need to take this global warming very, very, very seriously. Like again, I said in my last question, why we need to look for another planet, why we can't keep this planet clean, green, and sustainable, and livable. And again, this is not just for me, for my parents, this is for our generations to come. What we're going to do today, this is gonna pay us off tomorrow. Thank you.
Mr. Holder.
Yes, global warming is true. Global climate change is true. And I do agree, we need green energy. We need to do it smart though. We're not gonna jump completely off coal and gasoline within the next week. We need to do it smart. We have to get it where the technology is right, to where it's cheaper, and that way we don't bankrupt everybody. I'll go against my own party on this one. Biden saying that we need to be on electric vehicles by 2035 is not feasible. The cost of the batteries is not gonna go down enough within the next 11 years. We need to wait until it becomes cost effective to completely wipe out gas ran internal combustion machines. The smart way to do it is, yes, the bus systems are going green. Our military has been going green for a long time, trying to go green. So, I mean, we're attempting to do it. It's going to take a while. But yes, we do need to go green. Just
Time.
give it time.
Mr. Bookwalter.
I do not believe in the climate change catastrophe ideology. The climate may be slow and gradually warming, but it is not a catastrophe. And many of you who don't like the oil of subsidizing coal and gas want to do it with green energy. Well, this is what it looks like. It looks like a solar field the size of Manhattan in Pulaski County that's owned by Israel. It looks like solar fields being placed all over our 4th Congressional District that the community is fighting against. It looks like a LEAP project that wants to pull water from up here to down there. That LEAP project is supposed to be green and sustainable. It looks like wind turbine projects that are falling apart, that are going to be an eyesore for times to come. This unreliable, unsustainable energy source. We're always going to need oil and gas, and that we're never going to get away from it. And your parents and great-grandparents invested in this infrastructure, and they promised us back then that if we invest back then we're going to have cheap and reliable energy, and now's the time that we need it. This policy of green energy that they act like they don't like the LEAP project is actually leading to more expensive energy. And the thought leaders in climate change like Revel and Nordhaus never suggested. And by the way, they agree with Jim Baird, who is fully funding the Green New Deal energy policies through the Carbon Sequestration Collaboration Act, and by not standing against solar and wind in our district.
The ongoing chaos concerning leadership in the House of Representatives, specifically with regard to the role of Speaker of the House, has paralyzed Congress for months. Which changes, if any, in governance do you favor to resolve the situation? Mr. Bookwalter.
They locked us down. The engine of the American economy, the federal government locked us down. They can lock down and they can shut down, and that does not concern me. Thomas Massie just came out and just made a tweet before I came up here and said he is going to second MTG's getting rid of the new speaker, and I'm okay with that. If they want to make promises to us, and if they want to make these promises, then they need to be held accountable. I was with the few, the 9 and the 20 that flipped the speaker back in January, and I think that we can do that again. That does not concern me at all that we have this. Folks, the country is unraveling in front of our eyes, and we know it. So if you're going to talk a game like you are concerned, then we have to be prepared to take drastic measures, and that requires getting rid of leadership. And Jim Baird is not going to do that. I was at a breakfast with him when he told me and his staff told me I was crazy for saying we need to get rid of a new leader. And as soon as we got rid of McCarthy and got Mike Johnson in, he acted like he took credit for that, even though he was opposed to that. I've been in this position from the very beginning, and I stand to it. You want to see change? Then you need to elect someone that is prepared to take drastic measures when we most need it, and be bold and have a spine in Washington, D.C.
Thank you. Well, I know there's a national issue, or our Congress in DC, about the leadership and everything, but right now, what I'm worried about District 4 here. about my people here. We'll keep bringing up Jim Baird, but this is about us today. This is about all the people are gathered in this room today, how lives are affecting them, how these policies are affecting them. What can I do for my district? That's what I'm worried about more. My main concern is that in my district, everyone should have access to quality health care. Women should have a choice to make about their bodies. Should have a right to make a choice about their bodies. Education. We need to push more education in my district. There's the money, but we just need to make sure how that funds are getting allocated in my district. That is what I'm more worried about people in my district. Thank you.
Twice in 2 years. That's how many speakers we're gonna go through, twice. Is it because Republicans can't decide on who to lead them in the House? I mean, twice. That tells me there is a serious rift in the party. You didn't see that when we were majority. Yes, you could say some stuff about who we had as speaker, but we didn't go through them like we were changing clothes. It is ridiculous. It is not supposed to be a speaker every time somebody gets a hair up their backside. I have nothing else to say about that. It's just a few sour grapes in the House. We all know who they are. We all know who wore a red hat, and that was unnecessary. So, that's it.
Question number 8. Mr. Holder, do you favor military aid to Ukraine?
Oh, sorry.
Yes. As a Ukrainian American, definitely do. My parents defected from the Soviet Union. They were born in Kiev. They defected from the Soviet Union. So yes, we need to stop Russia from invading even further into Ukraine, because they will not stop there. They will keep marching across Europe. And we have to provide weapons and material to the leaders of Ukraine. They're not asking for boots on the ground. They don't want boots on the ground. They just need help. And we need to continue to support them.
Mr. Bookwalter.
As a combat veteran who's seen the horrors of war and the waste, fraud, and abuse that happens in the military, I'm opposed to interventionism on almost every front, particularly under our current military-industrial complex system that we have right now. Our original mandate was for a strong defense, not an offense that's 800 bases in 150 countries. Heretofore, we've given $165 billion to Ukraine. Has anyone considered what we could do with that money as we struggle here at home? I mean, inflation is a result of deficit spending. And the fact is that to think that Russia, who's gallivanting all over the world right now, taking over countries and regime change? Is it Russia? Is it Russia? It is. It is. Russia has made it clear for the last decade to not continue to push, from the 90s, to not push the NATO border up to their step. There's only one country in the world that has 800 bases in 150 countries across the world, and it's not Russia. So no, I do not support any more funding to Ukraine, and I do not support interventionism abroad that leaves us weak and vulnerable as a country, with open borders where war refugees are pouring across our border, fleeing their war-torn societies that are being created by the bombs from European and American planes.
Ms. Gerd.
Well, I am neither agree to or disagree with both of them, because as a human, it's really hard to see kids, children, our elders, they're dying over there. But like Mr. Walter said, we do need to worry about our country also. We need to worry about what's going on. I need to worry about what's going on in my district, District 4. Again, I am worried about my race right now, but once I get elected, I will see how I can help with this issue. Yes, humans are dying. We need to stop that. Yes, we do not need to aid other countries. But again, we can always come to an agreement, and we also need to think about how we can help each other. Thank you.
What is your position on whether a woman should have the ability to seek a medical termination of her pregnancy? Should the issue be decided at a national or state level? Ms. Gurn.
Neither. No one has a right to make a choice how women can live their life. Neither. Woman doesn't want to have an abortion just because they wanted to, that it's a luxury. No. No. It's sometimes getting abortion, it's also a healthcare issue. It's a healthcare. So I don't support whether the state legislators or at the federal level they make a decision about women's bodies. No. We should have a right to make a decision on our body. I would say the person who does not have a uterus does not have a right to make a choice about our bodies. Thank you. That's it.
Mr. Holder.
Women's body, woman's choice. It should be between a woman and her doctor. It's not politicians in DC or in Indianapolis that should make the choice. I echo what she says and what Rachel Green said. No uterus, no opinion.
Mr. Brookwalter.
Folks, Jim Baird has voted for every funding, every conflict and intervention abroad. He voted for almost every Ukraine spending package, and you can count on him to get us in the next war. And I'm already against the next war. I am 100% pro-life. It's one of the reasons I don't want to be killing people all over the world. I believe life begins at conception, and I agree with the Dobbs decision that puts this decision back at the state level, and Indiana is a great example of this. I encourage local activists to get out there and fight this at the local level and pass strict pro-life legislation at the state level. Because a federal abortion can be overturned, and it can be a federal ban on abortion. Jim Baird voted for the $1.2 trillion spending bill that included funding for full-term abortions. I would never do that. But like I said, I agree with the Dobbs decision because it pushes the decision back to the states where it belongs. I believe abortion is murder, and murder is a state issue. Therefore, this decision is in the right spot, and we can make more progress as pro-life people, continuing to encourage states to pass this strict abortion legislation. And you don't have to have a uterus to have that opinion.
Final question. What will be different if you are elected to Congress? Mr. Brookwalter.
I only got 2 minutes, so okay. How's it going to be different? It'll be different merely by us doing the same thing that we're doing right now, by showing up, by being available, by doing the job. Where's Jim Baird, everyone? He's the incumbent, and he's not here. Where has he been? He only comes back when he needs your vote. He hasn't been here to protect small farmers and medium-sized farmers, small businesses. He hasn't been there to protect our medical liberties when it most counted, and he hasn't been there to protect us from government overreach. He hasn't been there to protect us, that the Green New Deal energy policies that he supports along with the Democrats. Our goal in our campaign is to do what Green Berets do all over the world. We recruit, train, and fight alongside our allies. We have recruited hundreds of people to get involved in local office, running for local positions. I've testified all over the 4th Congressional District against lockdowns, vaccine mandates, solar and wind fields, carbon sequestration projects. I've testified at election boards to return to one-day voting on paper ballots. We have a chance here, folks, to disrupt Washington, D.C. from Indiana in a good way, disrupt the political establishment in Indiana, and elect someone that actually is an outsider. Do I sound like Jim Baird?
Time.
Where is Jim Baird? I ask you again.
Ms. Gurn.
Once I get elected, what will be different? The difference is I will not take your right away to make a choice about woman's body. You will have I will be fully backing up you on that. I will not take green energy away. I will not try to take people's mind off of that climate change is not real. There is a scientific reason about that. And I do not know why our Republican fellow here still think that climate change or it's not real.
I didn't say that. I didn't say
You-
that.
You did say that.
I did say
And I will make sure that the money the funds come to my district here in District 4 should be well spent on my people, my constituent here in District 4, on our health care, our education, our sustainable farming, because where I came from, there's no farmers, no food. So that's what I will be worried about. I will make sure that we will work on all these issues
20
together.
seconds.
Thank you.
Mr. Holder.
If elected, I will work tirelessly for the people who keep our community strong. Our farmers, our veterans, our teachers, doctors, nurses, and police officers. I'm committed to supporting policies that uplift and protect those crucial members of our society. Furthermore, I promise to remain accessible and responsive to all of you, my constituents. To ensure everyone has a voice, I will hold monthly town halls, both virtual and in person, where I can listen to your concerns, be it Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green, or any other independent. And gather your insights. Together, we will address the challenges facing our community and create solutions that make a real difference in our lives. And as a Marine, I just want to say, the Army can stand aside, and Marines here to lead the way.
Thank you, everyone, for participating in today's debate. I want to thank all of you for coming here as well. Just to remind you, this was sponsored by Stop the Water Steal. It's an active organization. We encourage your participation in that. And now is the time to give all the candidates a round of applause.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take questions in the back if anyone has any questions.
One.
You agree?
I agree. I agree. I'm not
Yeah,
brother.
thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. How you doing, sir? Yeah, nice to meet you.
Johnson.
Yeah, Sean, pleasure. Yeah.
I don't think the Marines take an oath to defend all Americans. I think it's to defend the Constitution.
The Constitution of the United States of America. That's right. You're absolutely right.
No questions, but you absolutely put those people down. You did a great job.
Yep, thank you, sir. I appreciate your support, sir.
I'm with
May
you.
7th is a primary.
Hey, I'm with
May-
you.
That
Sean,
is something
yes, sir.
that-
Thank you, sir.
That is something that, I'd like to hear more about because
The Constitution.